to connect a region of over 600 more bridges between our lands.
Hello, I'm Alma Angeles. Welcome to ASEAN and Focus. And joining me today is Steffi. Hello, Steffi.
Hello, Alma. And I am Steffi Dihuan, your EBC Maldives Bureau, bringing you the news in the ASEAN dynamic region.
On today's headlines. President Duterte delivered his remarks in the Session 2 of the 27th Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC, Economic Leaders Meeting through virtual convention from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
The government has sent home close to 320,000 returning overseas Filipino workers to their respective provinces, the Department of Labor and Employment said on Sunday.
U.S. President Donald Trump took part in an Asia-Pacific summit as he pushes on with challenges to his election loss a day after President Xi Jinping used the forum to hail China's growing clout.
Cabin crew run evacuation drills and teach visitors to fly in flight simulators during a public tour of Singapore Airlines private facilities.
President Duterte delivered his remarks in the Session 2 of the 27th APEC Economic Leaders Meeting through virtual convention. This is from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. The President underscored the importance of striking a balance between containing the spread of the coronavirus and being able to reopen the economies as the Philippines continues to adjust to the new normal. The universal access to the coronavirus vaccine has also been the centerpiece of the President's speech, citing its role in the region's full recovery following the pandemic. Let's listen in.
Global public good. Several modalities are available aside from bilateral and multilateral cooperation. Tripartite arrangements can be made between the government, private sector, and the multilateral financial institution. There is no other way. Let us resolve to act decisively on universal vaccine access and maximize these mechanisms. Second, information is the key to effective response and mitigation efforts. We welcome Malaysia's initiative to establish COVID Live online portal precisely for sharing of best practices. Finally, we need to keep trade free, open, and fair. This is key to achieving sustained and inclusive economic recovery.
Malaysian Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin said the annual Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC gathering, held virtually this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, focused on navigation global economics through the crisis.
Of course, during the meeting, all the APEC leaders reaffirmed their concerns pertaining to the impact of COVID-19 on developing economies, with strong emphasis placed to protect people's well-being and at the same time keeping economic activities moving. Now, despite the challenges due to the pandemic, this has not deterred leaders from securing consensus of the participating economies to move beyond 2020. I think this is important. Strong focus on realizing the fundamental social economic goals that was first charted out in Bogor 26 years ago. APEC's work this year has been focusing on the importance of economic recovery post-COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, equally important is to accelerate work towards developing the COVID-19 vaccine and making it a global public good, and that is available, affordable to all, and that is multilateralizing the vaccine.
Of the key thrusts for the year's APEC, Mr. Muhyiddin outlined 3 areas that the grouping needed to focus on support and commitment for the rule-based multilateral trading system, bolstering the digital economy, and inclusive economic growth. He also said closer cooperation between governments and the respective private sector of each economy is important to drive growth and general prosperity.
U.S. President Donald Trump took part Friday in an Asia-Pacific summit as he pushed on with challenges to his election loss a day after President Xi Jinping used the forum to hail China's growing economic clout. The Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Gathering, held online this year because of the COVID-19 pandemic, brings together 21 Pacific Rim countries, accounting for about 60% of global GDP. Now, Beijing has become the main driving force behind the trade grouping after the U.S. began withdrawing from multilateral bodies during Trump's presidency. President Xi, boosted by the signing last week of the world's biggest trade pact, the RCEP, gave a keynote address to the forum on Thursday, hailing China as a pivot point for global commerce and vowing to keep its supersized economy open. President Trump joined the official summit Friday evening, appearing alongside other leaders via video link as the Premier of Malaysia, this year's APEC host, delivered his opening remarks. President Trump's speech during the 2-hour event was not open to the media.
Indonesia will assume G20 presidency in 2020 after a swap with India, which will chair the world's biggest economy summit in 2023, the Indonesian foreign minister said Sunday. Retno Marsudi said the change of plan was agreed considering that Indonesia would also chair the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, in 2023. Originally, the Indonesian presidency was ruled to be in 2020, she said at a press conference. However, considering that in 2023, Indonesia will also hold ASEAN chairmanship, Indonesia has discussed to swap the G20 chairmanship timing with India. India also has had the same request to change the G20 presidency in 2023. Chaired this year by Saudi Arabia, the current G20 virtual summit has focused on distribution of COVID-19 vaccines and economic recovery. Next year, Italy will be the G20's chair.
In the Philippines, the Department of Health has observed a decrease in the new number of new COVID cases in the country. Let's take a look.
Masasabi lang po natin na nakikita natin talaga na merong downward trend, no? Itong mga numero ng kaso natin na naitatala araw-araw. Nakikita rin po natin ang ating mga facilities naman doon sa critical care utilization ay natanggal na po tayo doon sa sinasabing danger zone. We are at moderate risk already at nakikita natin na nakaka-accommodate na tayo ng mga pasyente. Ngunit nakakakita rin po tayo ng mga pagtaas ng kaso sa ibang lugar. So, atin pong binabantayan lahat yan and we are trying to assist. No? Ito pong mga areas na nagkakaroon ng mga pagtaas, pati po yung kanilang mga facilities ay medyo napupuno. So, titignan po natin in the coming days. Ang amin lang pong laging sinasabi, kahit po nakikita natin bumababa ang kaso, hindi po ito ang panahon para maging complacent tayo. We need to remain to be vigilant and cautious dahil nandito pa rin naman po yung virus sa ating environment.
Meanwhile, the Department of Health on Sunday said 92% of those who tested positive for the coronavirus have recovered. And in its latest bulletin, the DOH said the country logged 10,957 new recoveries, pushing the total number of recovered cases to 386,486. It also reported 1,968 new confirmed cases and 43 new deaths. Now, these figures brought the overall tally of active cases to 24,209 and the death toll to 8,123. Of the active cases, the DOH said about 82.5% are mild, 8.2% are asymptomatic, 3.2% are severe, 0.28% are moderate, and 5.8% are in critical condition. Cavite topped the list of places that logged the most number of new cases with 107 infections. It was followed by Quezon City with 97, Davao City with 86, Laguna with 84, and Quezon with 77. A DOH data on November 21 showed that 1,277 or 5.5% of 23,048 who were tested turned out positive for COVID-19. A Cambodian man returning from Japan tested positive for COVID-19, bringing the accumulated number of infections to 306. Take a look. The Health Ministry said in a statement issued today that a Cambodian man, 27, from Prey Veng province, was diagnosed with the virus on the fourth test on the 13th day of his quarantine after returning from Japan via South Korea flight on October 26. He has received medical treatment at the hospital in Phnom Penh. The statement said other 34 passengers who flew with them had tested negative for the virus at that time, and they are continuing another 14-day quarantine in Phnom Penh. In total, Cambodia's infections stand at 306 cases with 295 recoveries and 11 active cases. The World Health Organization also congratulated the kingdom for being ranked among the top nations with the best COVID-19 containment and impact management. ASEAN and Germany reaffirmed their commitment to further strengthen relations and advance mutually beneficial cooperation at the fourth meeting of the ASEAN-Germany Development Committee held via video conference. Both sides welcomed the substantive progress made in the implementation of the ASEAN-Germany Development Partnership Practical Cooperation Areas 2018-2022. Both sides explored opportunities to further deepen cooperation in the areas of trade, environment and climate change, technical vocational education and training or TVET, poverty alleviation, agriculture, micro, small and medium enterprises, and sustainable development. Other potential areas of cooperation were also discussed, such as on smart cities, digital infrastructure and transformation, cybersecurity, air transport, health, green economy, as well as support for the master plan on ASEAN Connectivity 2025 and the Initiative for ASEAN Integration Work Plan for 2021 to 2025. Further, ASEAN and Germany shared concerns over COVID-19's continued spread and severity and its adverse impacts on lives and livelihoods, as well as the socio-economic development in the region and around the world. On that note, on the report of the ASEAN Secretariat, the meeting appreciated Germany's pledge to contribute 5 million euros to the COVID-19 ASEAN Response Fund, as well as Germany's contribution to the Europe Union's Team Europe package of over 800 million euros for the ASEAN region to cope with the coronavirus crisis. The meeting also underscored the need to enhance cooperation in the post-pandemic recovery, including on vaccine production, as well as its equitable accessibility and affordability.
Thousands of high school students upset about Thailand's lackluster education system rally, alongside protesters dressed as dancing dinosaurs in Bangkok. It was the first mass gathering in the kingdom since Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha warned authorities would use all laws, including harsh royal defamation charges, to crack down on pro-democracy protesters. Take a look.
Sila ang mga kinikilalang bayaning may mahalagang papel para makamit ang kalayaan at pagbabago sa Pilipinas. Pero sa panahong ito, may mga bagong bayaning nakikipaglaban sa sakit na lumaganap sa buong daigdig, ang COVID-19. Ang ating mga frontliner, gaya ng healthcare workers, mga doktor, nurses, medical technologists, at iba pang health professionals, mga pulis, sundalo, security guards, mga tauhan na nangangalaga sa seguridad at mahahalagang pangangailangan ng bawat komunidad. Ang mga bagong bayani, ating pasalamatan. Kilalanin ang kanilang sakripisyo at serbisyo para sa lahat.
It says the best defense is still containment.
We are in uncharted territory.
Thailand volume 450. The 5 on to 100%. Standing by. Construction eh.
The Philippine government has sent home close to 320,000 returning overseas Filipino workers to their respective provinces, according to the Department of Labor and Employment on Sunday. In a report to Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III, the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or OWA, said 319,333 OFWs were transported to their respective provinces as of November 21 after they were cleared and tested negative of the coronavirus. For November alone, a total of 38,516 OFWs were flown and bused to their destinations, according to the OWA report. OWA took care of their hotel accommodation and food while waiting for the result of their COVID-19 test taken upon arrival in Manila. The DOLE agency also facilitated their transport back to their provinces. Mr. Bello said OWA is relentless in looking after the needs of the returning OFWs. He also said DOLE's foreign posts continue to monitor the condition of OFWs and provide assistance in their respective jurisdictions. Citing separate reports by the Philippine Overseas Labor Offices on Sunday, Mr. Bello said a good number of OFWs who were afflicted by the coronavirus have already recovered from the disease. He also said of the 111 infected Filipinos in Israel, 103 had already recovered, while there was no fresh report of mortality among the 3,577 afflicted OFWs in Qatar.
Indonesia's foreign minister tells G20 nations that vaccines for the coronavirus accessible and available to all countries without exemption. She adds that President Joko Widodo has requested funding of $2.5 trillion for developing nations to recover from their economic downturns.
Presiden mengatakan bahwa dunia tidak akan sehat kecuali semua negara sudah sehat. Dan vaksin adalah salah satu amunisinya. vaksin harus dapat diakses dan tersedia bagi semua negara tanpa terkecuali. Komitmen politik negara G20 sangat diperlukan untuk memobilisasi pendanaan global bagi pemulihan kesehatan. Presiden mengatakan bahwa ANTED telah meminta dukungan dana sebesar 2,5 triliun US dollar agar negara berkembang mampu keluar dari keterpurukan ekonomi. Negara berkembang memerlukan fiscal space untuk pemulihan ekonomi. Pentingnya bantuan restrukturisasi hutang untuk negara berpendapatan rendah, terutama dari negara pemberi hutang yang besar. Dan restrukturi hutang ini harus dibarengi dengan ditingkatkannya manajemen hutang atau sound debt management. Selain itu,
a planned travel bubble between Hong Kong and Singapore was scrapped a day before its launch on Saturday, after the southern Chinese city announced a sudden spike in coronavirus cases. The decision is both a blow to the two cities' battered tourist industries, but also for other countries who had been hoping the scheme might be a model to replicate during the pandemic. The two financial hubs have both suffered comparatively mild outbreaks with strict social distancing and border measures imposed soon after the pandemic first emerged. But with small populations and a heavy dependence on links to the outside world, they've been hard hit as the global economy collapsed. Desperate to help their key tourism and aviation sectors, they came up with a plan allowing limited quarantine-free travel between the cities as long as visitors test negative for COVID-19. The travel corridor was set to kick off on Sunday morning, but on Saturday, Hong Kong announced the scheme would have to be delayed for 2 weeks following a sudden rise in coronavirus infections.
The Malaysian holiday island of Langkawi is one of the Southeast Asian nation's most popular tourist destination. Millions of tourists come to the island every year seeking its sandy beaches, lush jungles, and duty-free shopping. However, a continued lockdown by Malaysian authorities across the country to curb the spread of the COVID-19 virus has badly hit this once popular tourist hangout spot. Many of its beaches and streets are now nearly empty, with many shops closed as travelers find themselves unable to easily enter the island. Located at the northern end of the Malacca Straits and in the northern Malaysian state of Kedah, Langkawi is only miles away from the Thailand-Malaysia maritime border. Stock shots of Langkawi Island beaches, empty tourist streets, and boats.
Vietnam's Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc delivered remarks at the second session themed Building a Sustainable, Inclusive and Resilient Future of the G20 Leaders Summit held virtually on November 22. The Prime Minister said the world is witnessing rapid and profound changes, posing a multitude of new challenges. To rise above these challenges, the Vietnamese government chief stressed the need to uphold solidarity, to build trust, to cooperate with good faith, and to uphold shared responsibilities towards sustainable and inclusive development in which no country or individual would be left behind. The Prime Minister also suggested that countries ought to uphold high political resolve and to make every effort to incorporate the SDGs and climate change commitments into their respective national development programs and plans in order to realize the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Paris Agreement on Climate Change. According to the Vietnamese government website, the World Bank said that Vietnam is among the 5 countries most severely affected by climate change, rising sea levels, salinization, and extreme weather conditions, particularly in its Mekong downstream, a rice bowl for the food security of the region and the world. Under the Paris Climate Agreement, Vietnam has committed to reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 9% by 2030.
No country has been spared the coronavirus epidemic, nor the surge of domestic violence, which has surged during lockdown as the day marking such violence approaches on Wednesday. From a spike in rapes in Nigeria and South Africa, increased numbers of women missing in Peru, higher rates of women being killed in Brazil, the Mexico and overwhelmed associations in Europe, the pandemic has aggravated the plague of sexual violence. According to UN data released in latest September, lockdown have led to increases in complaints or calls to report domestic abuse of 25% in Argentina, 30% in Cyprus and France, and 33% in Singapore. In essentially, all countries' measures to limit the spread of the coronavirus have resulted in women and children being confined at home. In July, the UN estimated that 6 months of restrictions could result in 31 million additional cases of sexual violence in the world and 7 million unwanted pregnancies.
In other news, Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, or TESDA, Secretary Isidro La Peña tested positive for the coronavirus. He announced in a statement on Saturday night. Now, Mr. La Peña said he went through a reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction, or RT-PCR test, on Friday as a requirement for his supposed flight bound for Mindanao on Sunday. And the result came out positive. According to TESDA Information Officer Get Pagaran, Mr. La Peña's supposed schedule in Mindanao is part of his regular field visits to the regional or provincial offices and to check the barangay development projects by the Poverty Reduction, Livelihood and Employment Cluster, or PRLEC. TESDA is the lead agency of PRLEC, or PRLEC. Meanwhile, Mr. La Peña said he's currently in isolation and that those who came in close contact with him were advised to go in isolation.
Ida came back from her trip in Wuhan, China. She is a positive carrier of the coronavirus.
Hi, I'm Lorna.
Lorna is Ida's cousin. She can be a family member, a friend, a relative, a colleague, or anything related to Ida.
Hi, I'm Faye.
Faye is not related to Ida. They don't know each other. She can be a stranger Ida meets on the train, in the supermarket, movie house, or in any public place. Now, Ida is in the hospital and is being treated, and Lorna is placed in quarantine. Ida doesn't know Faye. Lorna doesn't know Faye. And Faye doesn't even know anything. Innocencio has no contact with any virus carrier. But if he goes out, it takes at least 14 days for the symptoms to show on Fe. This is the purpose of a community quarantine or lockdown, to give time for the healthcare professionals to find Fe and all those she had close contact with, and to keep Innocencio from contracting the virus. Let's stop the spread of the COVID-19. We salute all our frontliners and healthcare workers. We are with you in this fight against COVID-19. I am Tyranel Pilyulu from EBC Japan Bureau, because we live in interesting times.
Hello sa lahat na ating mga clatters in music from the different parts of the world. This is Aaron D, and we are inviting you to watch Letters in Music sa prime time ng Net25. That's 8 p.m. Monday to Friday. Araw-araw yan. Kaya naman tara na at mag-hashtag Soundsurf and Chill sa Letters and Music. See you there!
Welcome back. Cabin crew run evacuation drills and are teaching visitors to fly in flight simulators during a public tour of Singapore Airlines training facilities. Take a look.
It is a lovely opportunity. I think it's nice that in a situation where we won't be traveling for a while, it's nice to be able to experience firsthand local brands, especially SIA. It's really something that's very a homegrown brand that we, all of us, really associate to this brand really a lot. So it's really great that they opened up. Hope to see more such similar events in future.
It was great, actually. It's great, because we really get to see the things that, as in the training that people, the airlines people go through, and this really, you really don't see this during normal times.
Now, 2,000 visitors will have the chance to tour the facility during 4 sessions, held over 2 weekends. A ticket costs 32 Singapore dollars. But customers can also pay for add-ons, including a session where the children can role-play as flight attendants, or have a 30-minute session in a flight simulator for 535 Singapore dollars or 398 US dollars. The national carrier is operating 4 sessions of the Inside Singapore Airline Tour over 2 weekends. That is Saturday, November 22, this past Saturday and Sunday, as well as on November 28th and the 29th. Each session has a maximum capacity of 500 people. Over 20,000 people had already expressed interest in the tour, according to Singapore Airlines Chief Executive Goh Chun Pong. He said, "We are going to focus on making sure that whoever visits us will have a great experience." Despite the overwhelming response, he also said that the airline has no plans to open up further sessions for now. As part of the tour, participants get a look at pilot and cabin crew training, such as for emergency situations when the plane lands on water, as well as craft activities like balloon sculpting. Now, one of Singapore Airlines' latest training equipment, which simulates situations where the aircraft lands on water, was also on display. The large metal container resembles part of a cabin. Now, it's expected to be commissioned and used for training from next year. Singapore Airlines also launched on Saturday a new range of dishes for flights under 3.5 hours in economy class. The airline has also replaced its plastic servingware with a new packaging solution, which includes a bamboo cutlery pack and a leak-proof paper box for all short-haul economy flights. Now, this means that the airline is now able to serve soup and other liquid items, which the previous servingware could not accommodate.
Bangkok's budget for COVID-19 vaccine is being prepared. Joining us live, Faye Barton. Hi, Faye.
Good afternoon to you, Steffi, and to all our viewers. Yes, you are correct. Thailand is preparing a budget for more than 6 billion baht for the COVID-19 vaccine. And the cabinet has already agreed for this for advanced reserving, and this would be like around 200 million US dollars. The cooperation of two manufacturers would be AstraZeneca Thailand and AstraZeneca United Kingdom. They are going to provide 26 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine, and the vaccine is still on a phase 3 trial. And related with the relation of COVID-19 cases or updates, there has been new confirmed cases. There has been 7 confirmed cases now, and the total number of cases would be 3,920. And the receiving medical treatments are 94 people. Recoveries are 3,766 with additional of 5, and the fatalities are 0. And another update here in Thailand, the Department of National Parks or Wildlife and Plant Conservation, they introduced a underwater route for discovering nature at Muko Chumpon National Park. This is actually good for vloggers or for people who really enjoy traveling, and especially under the water or under the sea. Chumpon, from Bangkok to Chumpon, it will take 5 to 6 hours away from here, so it's a good travel and it's a good experience. Muko Chumpon National Park to honor His Majesty King Rama X. This is the first and only underwater route in Thailand where visitors can travel through coral and reefs in 20 stations. And if they get a lucky chance, divers can also see whale sharks appearing under the sea. And there are also countless interesting water creatures under Muko Chumpon National Park. And this information, Steffi, is from the PR Thai government. Back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Faye, for your update. You stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you very much, Steffi. You too. And this is Faye Barte reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
Thailand's tourism industry launches expat festive deal. Aaron Blue Calleja reports.
We are here in the heart of Bangkok in one of its famous shopping malls to witness the Expat Festive Deal 2020. This is the second campaign of the Tourism Authority of Thailand to encourage expats to travel in the last month of this year. Discounts in various outdoor activities, local products, hotels and flights are being offered in the said event. It is joined by travel agencies offering packages for expats, especially in the holiday season that is soon approaching. This event is projected to encourage expats to travel in different provinces around Thailand now that the weather is highly favorable. Travel packages for solo travelers and families are on sale even in the first quarter of 2021. These campaigns by Tourism Authority of Thailand is a makeshift for the battered industry caused by the pandemic. International tourists has to undergo a process of obtaining a special visa before entering Thailand, thus affecting tourism sector at large. Various strategies have been done by the Thai government to boost spending and to revive tourism through this kind of campaign, both for expats and for locals, with a reminder to travel safely, always wear masks, and wash your hands frequently.
This is Aaron Blue Calleja, reporting from Bangkok, Thailand, and we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Steph, for joining me today and helping me out here on ASEAN in Focus. Thank you so much. How are you doing there in Maldives, the beautiful island nation of Maldives, the picturesque island nation of Maldives?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Alma. So, and that's the latest news in the ASEAN region. Thank you for joining us today here in ASEAN in Focus. Once again, this is Stephanie Juan, your ABC Maldives Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
All right, we better hurry before I lose you. Thank you again, Maldives. I mean Maldives. Steffi from our Maldives Bureau. Thank you so much. I'm Alma Angeles, and we live in interesting times.